Regular meeting of the Cadillac Zoning Board of Appeals for 15 May. To order. Okay, roll call.
Knight.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Walkley. Bolt. Bontrager.
He's just walking in.
Hi, Larry.
Hello. Say here.
Here.
Here. Perfect timing.
Paveglio.
Pavelio, here.
Pavelio.
The G is
So the G is silent.
Yes.
Okay, Larry, or Leo, thank you. And Nichols.
Here. Okay, next is approve the minutes for the last meeting, or any corrections.
I'll make the approval, we accept them.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, now,
Okay, give me
vote.
1 moment here. Okay. Alt. Bontrager. You.
Here.
Allen? No.
Yes, yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Pavelio?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Walkley? And Nichols.
Yes. Okay, new business.
Did we approve the agenda? We did the minutes.
Okay, well,
We did the roll call.
okay. Approve the agenda. Yeah, I guess, next then.
Someone would like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion, we approve the agenda.
Okay.
In a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Allen? Yep, okay. Bontrager?
Yes.
Knight?
Yes.
Alt? Walkley? Pavelio?
Yes.
And Nichols.
Yes. Okay, now we'll go new business.
Okay. What we have today is a setback variance application for the address of 212 Jonathan Drive. And this is a cul-de-sac within the city. It is for a rear yard setback. You should have, within the information we sent you, the application to the Zoning Board of Appeals that they sent in or gave us. You should also have a site plan, a drawn site plan, showing the location of the addition on the back of the house and in relation to the the backyard property line. I believe there is also a drawing of the proposed roof line on the back of the house. We included a city GIS aerial photo of the site so you could see the surrounding properties from an aerial view. And then also within it, there are some site photographs that I took here in May, earlier in May, of the home. And that is included with the staff report. The picture I've just put up here, this one here actually shows the GIS aerial, so you can get a feel for where 212 Jonathan falls within that cul-de-sac, and it is up at the northern end of the cul-de-sac. The rear yard setback variance they're requesting is to permit a 7-foot reduction in the required rear yard setback at 212 Jonathan Drive to allow an 18-foot by 20-foot addition to the rear of the home. The current city zoning ordinance in section 46-629, Article 3, Division 18, calls for a minimum rear yard setback of 30 feet from the property line for property that is zoned in the R2 residential, which is what this is. The site plan that I have up above, basically, it shows the addition to the back of the house. The addition is not to extend past either of the sides of the house. Essentially, they are going to move the deck. That is their proposed plan, if this is approved, is to move the deck, but it also will not project past the side of the house. It basically shows that the addition, if accepted, it'll be 23 feet off of the rear lot line, less than the 30 feet that the ordinance requires and asks for. Michael Burton, whose signature is on the bottom, he is the contractor that I understand will be doing the work. Yes.
When you say move, is that where it says deck, is that the new location of the deck?
Yeah, basically, he's proposing the deck that does not stick out 18 feet.
Okay.
What he's proposing doing is taking that apart and just moving part of it off here to the side. But it will not be enclosed. The deck won't have a roof or an enclosure other than, I'm sure, a railing. But that's how he's proposing to move that. This picture here shows the rear lot. In the left part of the picture where you see a couple of shrubs, tall shrubs, the deck is actually behind that on the left side of the picture. And you can see where the lot drops off towards the back of the property. And from what I can see here, he clearly mows part of the property behind his own. He's currently mowing property that I would say falls within what's called the city-owned property, the acreage behind there. And it is a low area, and you can kind of see that from the drop-off behind the house there. He has had the lot surveyed, and you can kind of see in the middle of the picture there, you can kind of see, I'm assuming that is the survey stake for the back of the lot, right there. This is currently the back of the home. Last fall, he said they actually started taking the railing and that off the deck, and then when they kind of realized what they were going to ask to do, they just stopped until they, found out if it was going to be acceptable or not. They weren't sure at the time what the setbacks were and so forth. And as far as taking the railing off, my understanding is they actually did that last fall. The site characteristic of 212 Jonathan, the lot is 85 feet wide. It is 112 feet deep, so the square footage is approximately 9,500 square feet. The home, including the garage, is 2,450 square feet, and this proposed addition will add another 360 square feet, giving the home and the garage a total square footage of 2,810 square feet. Also part of the site characteristics, Jonathan Drive, it is a cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac is abutted to the east by, measured it as close as I could, 4.68 acres of vacant property. It's behind it, it's to the east. It was in the earlier, let's see, I'll go back to that real quick. As you can see, it is to the east here. That is city-owned property, 4.68 acres. It tends to be an area that is wet a large portion of the year. So that is a characteristic of that. The city's owned it for a number of years. They've not attempted to sell it, develop it, just because of the water issue. Back to this slide again, the vacant property to the east. It is low-lying and it's wet particularly this time of year. Due to its ownership and the wetland condition, the property to the east will not be developed. And I've basically spoken with a couple of the directors, and nobody sees any reason that the city would do anything with it other than leave it as just in its natural state. The variance application, the review standards, this application was examined based on sections 46-69, Part B, Section 2, and 4669, Part 4 of the Cadillac zoning ordinance. Reviewing the standards and findings, this zoning board of appeals may authorize a variance from the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance where by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, shape, or area of a specific piece of property at the time of enactment of the ordinance, or by reason of exceptional conditions of such property, the strict application of the regulations enacted would result in peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties to or exceptional undue hardship upon the owner of such property. That's the review standard. The finding, the staff finding, the partial does have conditions such that compliance with the setback provision of the ordinance cannot be met under the proposed site plan. The size and shape of the partial will not allow for the construction of this size addition to the east side of the current building that would conform to this section 46-629 of the city zoning ordinance. There are some development constraints. The applicant has no opportunity to acquire additional land for purposes of setback compliance. The wetland property to the east is owned by the city and is not for sale. Expansion of the home to the west front would also require a variance. A front yard addition is less desirable pursuant to design consistency with the surrounding homes in the neighborhood. Also, development constraints, expansion of the home to the north and south would also require a side yard variance, but it is not considered practical given the existing minimum setbacks and the potential negative impact this would have on surrounding homes, neighbors' homes. Expansion of the home by adding a second story to accommodate interior space needs is not considered practical given the existing architectural design. The high cost and inconsistency with, I'm going to read that over. The expansion of the home by adding a second story to accommodate interior space needs is not considered practical given the existing architectural design of the home, the high cost and the inconsistency with the surrounding ranch-type home structures. It visually probably would not fit well. Still under development constraints, the lot size meets code, but it does represent one of the smaller lots pursuant to the surrounding neighborhood area. The lot size limits the expansion potential of the existing dwelling. This property owner, did not create the condition by which the lot and home were sized and positioned. Next, under review of the standards and findings. The standard is that the requested variance will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, adjacent homeowners. The finding is that this variance is not anticipated to impair an adequate supply of light and air to the adjacent properties. The impacts on light and air to adjacent properties are not considered significant. The next standard, the requested variance will not unreasonably increase congestion in the public streets. The finding is this variance is not anticipated to impact traffic volumes. The addition per se will not increase traffic levels or street congestion on this particular street, Jonathan Drive. The next standard and finding, the standard is that the requested variance will not increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. The finding is that this requested variance is not anticipated to increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. Part of the findings continued is that required building permits will be secured and inspections completed before any occupancy is allowed. And in that sense, it will meet should meet health and safety. The next standard, the requested variance will not unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area. The requested variance is not anticipated to unreasonably diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area. The improvement is likely to raise property values, specifically if it's approved the home that the addition is going to be put on. The next standard, the requested variance will not impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the city. The finding is that this requested variance is not anticipated to impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, or welfare of the inhabitants of the city of Cadillac. Other factors. As previously noted, due to its ownership and the wetland condition, the property to the east will not be developed and is slated to be maintained in a natural state. Accordingly, the variance, if granted, will not impact the use of the property to the immediate east. Notices of this public hearing were provided not less than 15 days prior to the hearing date. A notice was placed in the Cadillac News. Also, property owners within 300 feet of the subject site were given notice via first-class mail. I'm going to go back here. In reference to that, we have one of the neighboring property owners is here tonight, so they may have a question after this. I did receive one phone call from a neighbor across the street and down a couple homes, and the lady basically, when she understood that the addition was going to be to the back of the home, she basically said, you know, she wasn't sure what, but she said she didn't have any problem with it. She was more concerned, you know, exactly where the location was, and once she knew it was off the back of the home, she said she was fine with it. Recommended conditions. Staff does recommend that if this is approved, the final site plan does have to be approved by city staff, and all necessary permits need to be acquired through the Wexford County Building Department. Possible Zoning Board of Appeals action. Based on a finding of compliance or non-compliance with the standards of the ordinance, the board shall approve with conditions, or deny the variance application. Reasonable conditions may be attached to an approval in order to achieve compliance with the standards of the ordinance. This last picture, I've got basically the two pictures of the rear of the home and the rear lot. Do any of you have any questions for myself?
I do, Mike, since he's not here to ask. Is the intention of this building to be incorporated with like the same siding, or is it meant to be like a glass enclosure?
Absolutely, absolutely. We discussed that vinyl siding that will closely match the home.
Okay.
Absolutely. And roofing shingles material also.
The matching, okay.
Yep. And it's a new enough home, I think, I got the impression that they're comfortable that they can, you know, match it or come very close. The owner of the home who is not here, it's actually a second home, lives downstate. I believe it's Livonia. He definitely told me he was going to, he told me he would be here. I haven't checked any phone messages in my office here in the last few minutes, but he received the packet just as you folks did. So we did mail the packet though downstate.
So the city would see the building permit as it would be proposed from them, so they couldn't turn around if we grant it and say it's got to, architecturally it's got to match what's there, and they come back with something like a metal addition or something. You guys would catch that at that point, correct?
I'll tell you what, we definitely do an inspection after it's done, and that to me falls under, you know, that to me would be a reasonable condition to include, if you know, if you wish to include it.
Okay, any other questions?
Can you tell me what the dimension is on the north lot line? The lot's 112 feet by 85, but with the cutout for the circle there,
Right.
I was not able to read it on the...
I am going to...
GIS. And this
It
one
looks to me like they've got 33 feet from the front of the garage to the lot line on this drawing. Is that what you're asking, Leo?
Excuse me. The two lot lines, the north lot line and the south lot line are different lengths.
Right. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
And I guess what I'm really wondering is how do we determine the front yard setback? Where is that measured from?
Personally, I mean, and I'm speaking personally, I would measure it normally from the closest point, which is kind of on the curve, to the home. And obviously, when this home was built, if that did not meet the setback, my understanding it would have had to have come for approval.
Mm-hmm.
But my opinion, Leo, is that, I mean, if I were, you know, if it was somebody with a site plan of a brand spanking new home, I would measure it from this, I guess you would call it the north corner, to the curve of the cul-de-sac.
So this particular home is set further back than the others, probably because of that,
Well,
which constrains the...
let's look and see.
Looks like it is a little bit. And I think it's true on the other side of the street as well, that the homes are pretty much fronted, pretty much have the same front.
It actually, in this one here where the red arrow is, it looks like the garage lines up pretty much right here with the home to the south, and where it is indented a little bit, you know, it is in the area of the cul-de-sac here. I'm looking at, I think we all know. I'm basically looking at, the garage sticks out a little farther, and it does seem to match up with the front of this house, and this part of the house is set back a little bit farther, deeper than the garage.
Okay.
And in fact, yeah, this you can kind of see, you know, how this end where the cul-de-sac curves is set back. I'm assuming this is 4 feet, maybe not. There's a chair on the porch, so. Sure doesn't look like today's weather, does it? I took that picture this month. It does not look like today. This is a picture I took, so. With my inexpensive camera, so. Are there any other questions for myself?
And then we'll open for public comments. Do you have any questions?
I do
Sure. Could you do me a favor, please stand up
Stand up.
and just give your name, sir,
And address.
and address?
I live at 216 Jonathan, my name is Dean Bowline. We are the northernmost property, be the house you would see on the left. Our concern was with the city-owned land east of us, that big picture.
Mm-hmm.
You said it is not scheduled to be developed.
The city has no plans to develop it or sell it.
Yes, we didn't know who owned it until today.
The city owns it. It is city-owned.
And,
Can you verify how wet it is? I mean, I'm curious.
I had mosquitoes prevent me from getting to that. Will it or ever be designated a wetland area? That would be my question.
It might be already.
I cannot answer that. I mean, there are a number of criteria, and I'm certainly not an expert on this, but I would have to assume that the state of Michigan, the DNR, would ultimately be the one that would make that classification, and I'm certainly not an expert on that.
Okay, that's our only concern, is that we actually like that area back there. And the mosquitoes.
The city has owned it for many years, and as you can see, they've not attempted to develop it.
We have been on, the subdivision has been there for 10 years, we have been there for 7.
Okay.
So just let you know.
Yeah. Dean, a question I have you might be able to answer. Does this road flood this time of year at all, or not?
Our question is, why has not the city paved the, 300 feet? The North Boulevard is paved, the other side is paved, Jonathan is paved. Why can't you pave 300 feet? Because what happens is, I don't mean to complain.
No, please.
And the snowplow comes by and takes all that gravel and deposits in our yard since we're at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
And they had, city plows already destroyed one tree, a very beautiful plum tree we had. So I don't know why the city can't pave that 300 feet.
Kenwood.
Does it flood over the road though at certain times of the year? Other than the potholes filling up, but...
Any typical dirt road, that's what that is.
It just gets very sloppy.
We go around, yes, we avoid it most of the time.
Nice
Your-
choice.
Sir, your name, is it pronounced Bogrine?
All right.
B?
Beaudoin.
Okay. Your comments are in the minutes.
And our concern is that we actually like the wetland area, and we hope it never gets developed.
There are no plans to sell it or develop it. And I've talked to directors that are with the city, certainly higher up than myself. To answer your question about the roads, I'm going to really put that off and say, I don't work in the streets department,
Right.
but I can guarantee you, like many things right now, it's a matter of money.
Sure, yeah.
And boy, we have a lot of streets that need to be repaired right now.
Right.
We have a long list of streets that need to be repaired.
Put that on your list because...
I will definitely let our Director of Public Works, Streets
I'm not even
know.
sure it's quite 300 feet.
Right. Just, you mentioned snow removal, and I apologize. I live at the end of I live just like this, the second house from the end of a cul-de-sac on the other side of the street on Vine Street.
Oh, okay.
And while I'm fortunate with my mailbox, city plows have a number of times literally gotten stuck turning around in my cul-de-sac. And my neighbor, whose mailbox would be here, many times they don't even get within 10, 12 feet of the mailbox. And it's a difficult, cul-de-sacs I know are difficult for them to plow.
Well, I've talked to people who live out west. There are methods for plowing a cul-de-sac, which the city should
Sure.
probably take lessons from.
Sure.
You not start from that and you start moving from the other end and push the snow the other way.
Sure, sure.
And I wish the city would probably
No problem.
The city could learn a lot.
learn a lot about, I like the way they plow fast. Sometimes they plow too fast. And there are methods to plow a cul-de-sac that don't deposit the snow at one end.
Your comments will be in the minutes, and I will share just your comments about the plowing and that with our Director of Public Works over streets.
I've actually talked to that.
With Bruce and that,
And
sure.
they've come out and repaired that property, and they have to come out this time and repair it again.
So,
Okay, well, thank you.
not a problem.
Any other comments? If not, that part's closed. Board members with comments, or,
I just think we need to put in there that the construction is architecturally blends with what's there.
Okay.
Is the only thing I think we need to make sure we add.
make the motion.
Yep. So, are you ready? I'll make the motion then that we grant the 7-foot setback with the stipulation that the architecture remains the same as the house.
Okay. Talking siding, roofing materials?
Correct. The building material.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. You can be third.
Okay. Roll call, or vote, whichever.
Walkley. Fabilio.
Yes.
Bontrager.
Yes.
Alt. Allen.
Yeah.
Knight.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Any other thing for the meeting for us? Not, call the meeting adjourned.